Everybody, welcome out to our 6 o'clock live stream. Chat is bumping already, man. 19 people and shit. Holy crap.
Nice.
That's the way I like to start a live stream, man. That's good stuff. Thank you, folks, for doing that. Much appreciated. We have a pretty cool episode lined up. We're going to talk about insurance and zoning. And I know it sounds boring, but it is tattoo related. And as we kicked around this topic, Justin kind of told me something that blew my mind as far as zoning for tattoo shops. But we'll get into that shortly. Before we get rolling, I wanted to give everybody a quick heads up that there will not be a Wednesday night live stream this week and next week. This week I got to pick up my mom for Thanksgiving, and next Wednesday I got to work late. So.
Oh, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Hopefully anybody in the U.S. that celebrates is going to have a good, happy Thanksgiving.
The Canadians have Thanksgiving too, right?
They already had it a month ago. Theirs is in October.
Hmm.
And then I just saw a thing today, though, that they were saying in the UK, they're starting to celebrate Thanksgiving. Like, it's not everybody, obviously, but people are starting to. So I guess it's they're going to try something new out there, which is cool, man. Join us for quite the feast.
So I'm like 54, and about 3 years ago, I said to my mom, you know, because my mom is the one that hosts Thanksgiving, I was like, listen, I hate turkey. I really have always disliked turkey, but I've always eaten it because it's Thanksgiving, and I love you, but now I'm in my 50s.
I'm not eating it.
I'm just eating cheeseburgers for Thanksgiving. Y'all can eat the turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do ham, and it's called a turkey breast. Like, it's a small, because my mom's really the only one that, like, I'll eat it, but she's the one that, like, likes it.
Yeah.
And we give her, like, Tupperware containers full of shit to take home so she doesn't have to cook for, like, the next couple days. But, yeah, so there will not be a Wednesday night this week and next week, unfortunately. You know, sometimes that's the way it works. I was kind of hoping to do this Wednesday, but there's no way I would make it back in time after picking up my mom and all that other stuff. Like, it would have been I'd been cutting it way too close, and then I'd have been panicking. So, plus I might have to return the car. So.
Right, the spaceship.
Yeah, they gave me a loaner car because I'm having problems with my car.
Yeah, it floats off the ground.
Yeah, they gave me a $70,000 Cadillac to drive as a loaner, and I'm paranoid as hell to drive the damn thing because it's like, you know. But anyway, enough about that. So yeah, we're gonna get into insurance and zoning, and we're gonna make it fun. Don't think it's gonna be a boring subject. I know it sounds boring on paper, but we're actually gonna start it with a video from Australia's Current Affair. I didn't even know that show was still on. I know it's. I don't think it is in the U.S. anymore. But they had a.
I'm not watching it currently.
Yeah, a big episode where they were talking about how the impact of insurance is, for all intents and purposes, almost squashing the tattoo industry in Australia. I don't know if that's for everybody, but they were talking about some pretty exorbitant
so
prices.
We would be interested for the people in chat. When I worked in New Jersey, I was required to carry insurance, liability insurance, as a tattoo shop, and I had a policy with Lloyd's of London. Whereas in PA, I don't. So I know we have people from Canada, from Europe, from all over the states. Are you guys required to carry insurance?
I do have a list of states that we're going to get into that. But as far as other countries, the only one I looked up was Australia, because that's touching on the video that we're going to kind of slop tube off of. And
slop tube?
Yeah, that's what they call it when you just sit there. You know, there's people, they have YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of followers, dude, and all they do is play somebody else's video, and they go, yeah, okay, that's it.
Yeah, someone in my family does
you
that.
You lazy bastard.
They play other people's YouTube stuff and, like...
Dude, I'm grinding,
and, like,
doing all kinds of crazy shit, and all they do is just, yeah, cool. And I'm like, bro, really? Whatever, man. I guess I can't knock somebody else's hustle.
I mean, I'm so lazy I don't even have pants on.
He is, man. He's rocking the Winnie the Pooh look. It's pretty disgusting. actually. All right, Pooh Bear. Let's knock this video out. So we're gonna get the video going.
And
There
my
was a
favorite thing about the
time when
video is referring to people in motorcycle clubs as bikies.
Yes.
bikies and sailors were the
The
only
bikies.
people with tattoos. Well, hasn't the world changed? And it seems attitudes haven't. Tattoo shops claim insurance companies are treating them like criminals, with sky-high premiums driving them to the wall.
So I'm gonna pause this and fast forward because I don't need to hear your music.
Skin deep. So much so, in 2017, he and his partner Lou opened up a tattoo shop at Terrigal on the New South Wales
Tattoo.
Yeah,
Tattoo.
the tattoo.
Central Coast.
Very nice.
Because it used to be a dental practice. It had private bays, so it was very private for clients. So
He looks like Ephemeral Remy without the tattoos.
it was a really nice space. So we were very busy.
It was a very community-based shop.
Very community-based.
But 12 months after opening, they were stung by the building's insurance company.
Saying that the insurance had gone up by $7,500 per year.
$7,500 per year. Now, Justin, as a business owner, could you absorb that increase?
So 7,500. It's like basically 640, something like that. Probably 630.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No. And that's yeah, keep playing
And
that.
it was directly due to us being in the building.
Lou and Zach agreed to pay the extra amount.
It wasn't great, but it was manageable and wasn't ideal. Like, you know, when you're in a creative field, you don't know when your next paycheck is.
The couple took on 4 other staff and morale was high with locals.
We were there for 8 years. Everyone knew us.
Rob lived upstairs.
So 8 years, established shop, living upstairs. They got all their money soaked into this tattoo shop.
Overlooking the shop.
When they first thought of set up,
Playing?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
He's-
Can you, yeah,
Can they hear us like voiceover?
yeah.
shop, obviously you're
Justin
going to be
Smack,
concerned
yeah,
with
so
tattoo
say
parlour.
facial
But
feature
there was
differences.
no troubles.
Ah.
But in May last year, Zach and Lou really felt the financial pinch when their building was re-evaluated.
The new quote for the year was an extra $31,000.
31.
$31,000.
Yeah.
So now you're talking just to have your tattoo shop, 50 G's off the top, just for your insurance.
Which they
Another
wanted to
31 or 31 total.
No, 31 on top of the 6.5.
Ah.
make us pay.
2 clothing stores and a cafe in the same building weren't treated the same.
But people trying to earn a living, an honest living, and two of the most beautiful people. I think it's very unfair.
What's your input?
The couple fought to have the amount reduced.
Do better.
Our landlord took it to court with against the insurance company. We didn't hear back for months and months and months.
After radio silence, Louie Lou Tattoo Shop was forced to close.
So there you go. We don't have to watch the rest of the video. You understand the outcome at this point, right? I just, it kind of set me down a rabbit hole into let's talk about this. Let's talk about zoning. I think the biggest eye-opener for me is the zoning part. But as far as insurance goes, so Justin and I brought this to him. I actually sent it to him, and then we talked about it. And then you told me something that blew my mind. So when you were in Jersey, who was your insurance company?
Lloyd's of London.
So Lloyd's of London, super high end. And I said, well, what's up with that, dude? Like, why not State Farm or whatever? And you said it had to be a specialty insurance.
Yeah. Yep. Tattoo shop, tattoo insurance only, not just business liability insurance. A very specific kind of policy.
So what does that insurance cover?
Slips and falls, and I don't like my tattoo. You did it wrong.
So if somebody tried to sue you,
Right.
it would cover you on so you wouldn't lose your business, and it would be an insurance claim.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I looked into it, there was
See, but it's really vague. Like, it wouldn't cover the legal fees for the suit. It wouldn't cover, like, what exactly would it cover? You know what I mean? It was just sort of like a state mandate, and it was just another. I felt like it was just another tax.
okay.
You know, Jersey. So the word around the campfire was that when the Jersey tattoo laws were created, they were created with the involvement of some existing Jersey tattooers who had a vested interest in making them as complicated as possible, because the guys that were creating the tattoo laws, their shops were grandfathered in.
Okay. So they were just making it harder for everybody else.
Right, which from a business viewpoint that's sound.
Right.
So, you know, we had to have insurance. We had to have a biological waste disposal number
Okay.
and a contract with a biological waste disposable company. We had to have a certain kind of floor, certain kind of walls, certain kind of sinks, like private booths that were so big, which is incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous. If you're in a shop that has a serious depth and you're working in the last booth with no way to see out, I mean, that's dangerous.
Especially if you're in a rough area.
Anybody can come in.
Which, okay, so that's going to make more sense when we get into the zoning portion.
Right. So what they're doing to these guys in Australia is they're using the thing dispersion.
Right.
So what dispersion is because in a lot of places they can't say to you, you're not allowed to do that because we don't want that here. Like that opens townships up
For discrimination.
for discrimination suits.
Right.
What they can legally say is we don't want you to do that because of who it's going to attract.
Right.
So the clothing, what was it? 2 clothing stores and
I think it was like a barber shop.
a barber shop, because they're zoned differently than the tattoo shop. They're less liable for the seedy element.
Right. And that's where at the beginning of the video it talks about the bikies and the criminal element. So in this day and age, with the change of the mentality towards tattooing, there are still areas where tattooing, and when I say areas, I don't mean areas where you live. I'm saying areas of business
Yes.
that are still anti-tattooing. They don't want that in their, vicinity. That blows my mind, especially in this day and age. Now, you said something to me that kind of floored me. And you said that is it PA or was that Jersey?
What?
Where the zoning thing? Was it here?
It's everywhere.
So I didn't know this until Justin told me this, but zoning of tattoo shops falls under the same category as strip clubs and head shops because it's considered to be adult entertainment or adult vices, I guess.
I mean, that might be changing. Like they might, because it varies so much from like township to township, county to county. Like they might start putting it under like cosmology now or like.
Right.
But yeah, for years, if you wanted to open a tattoo shop, you were going to be next to a strip club or you were going to be next to an adult bookstore or a head shop, because those were the businesses that were grouped together and they required special zoning.
Right. So, but it also made sense to me once you said that, and I thought about like each of the areas of, back in the day. I'm not talking about now, because like now, like, we have a pretty upper crusty area. Couple 5 miles down the road, not even.
Yeah.
And they have a tattoo shop right on Main Street.
Yeah, no tattoo shops in Princeton.
Right.
Right?
So if you think about like in our area, all the tattoo shops. Thank you, Sarah, for the $5 super chat.
No tattoo shops in Newtown.
Right. All the tattoo shops in Philly at one point were in Chinatown area, Kensington, which was, still is considered to be pretty riffraffy. Hawaii with Honolulu, the shops were all in Chinatown, were Hotel Street and Smith Street. New York City at one point was the Bowery. So even I guess in California with the Pike,
Right.
they were all zoned into one area. I guess I don't know why, but I never put two and two together. It was always like, well, I guess it's kind of like pawn shops, right? You go where the business is.
Right.
Not thinking that area they were in those areas because they were forced to be in those areas.
So the mentality is, or the mentality for the adult bookstores and stuff like that, it usually has to do with the proximity to schools and churches. Like, we're supposed to be separated church and state, but
Well, let's not get on that topic.
yeah, you can't. I mean, I would love if I went to church and I could just dip out after mass.
Yeah.
And
Get a tattoo.
help the unwed single moms.
So Fat Cracker said Australia still has some social stigma attached to tattoos. Some nightclubs and restaurants refuse entry to people with neck and face tattoos. It's mostly geared toward islanders and Tamoka. So that we actually talked about that on one of our Sunday night live streams, where they finally let a member of that community into the service, which was like a huge deal for them. They had never allowed them to enter the service, and now they, I guess they're starting to do that. Didn't we also do an episode about a guy that tried to go to a nightclub and they booted him and they said no way because he had tattoos?
Because he had facial tattoos.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get that. I understand that about the Australia, different mindset or whatever. I just didn't think that they would do it on the fact of trying to financially crush them to get them out. But like you said, if that's going to stop them from being a discrimination case, meaning, hey, we don't want you here because it's the element or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if they were to flat out say that legally, you could sue them for discrimination.
Right, for bias probably.
Okay. So I actually pulled up some data I started with the U.S., but I also did pull up data for Australia. And Australia seems like it comes down to the territories. But let's get into some of these.
And you would think that a country that described our territories, you think that'd be a cool country with tattooing.
Yeah, but you know what? Stephen Street just made a very good point. He said Australia is still quite conservative, and they are. It depends on the area, I think. Like there's certain areas like Sydney, Melbourne, they have areas of their towns or cities where they have, homelessness and open air usage of recreational stuff. But for the most part, they are still kind of conservative. Now, I basically was trying to say, does zoning laws and insurance discriminate against tattoo shops? In many places, zoning laws and insurance policies effectively discriminate against tattoo shops, even if they don't explicitly say so. And when I dug deeper, we went into the zoning laws first. It said many cities, yeah,
many
shitties, treat tattoo shops the same way they treat adult businesses, bars, and smoke shops / head shops. Because of outdated stigma, some zoning codes still restrict tattoo shops to industrial zones, keeping them away from downtown or high traffic areas, require special permits, no other art-based business needs, such as conditional use permits, limit tattoo shops from operating near schools, churches or residential areas, even though salons, barbershops, and spas face no such restrictions.
I mean, I remember recently, or within the last few years, the issue was the sign. I forget exactly where it was, but a tattoo shop had a custom-made, beautiful sign, and they hung it outside their shop. And the township came along and said, "Yeah, that's illegal." Right? There's all kinds of methods that they can use if they don't want a business to be there.
Oh yeah,
To circumvent.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I you know, when I was going through college, I ran a shaker joint, jiggle joint, and the city that was in, they were adamant about trying to push out because they were saying that it was bringing in riffraff and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, there was a couple streets over, there were ladies of the evening and dudes over this way, having an open market on the corner, but we were the problem.
Right.
So, yeah, nah, man.
You know what the problem is? The problem is YouTube's fanatical
stopping me from saying what I want to say.
Yeah.
So then I said, okay, well, what about insurance companies? And they said that they often force higher premiums, even when they follow medical grade sanitation standards. Fewer insurance carriers willing to cover them, which goes into our conversation where you were saying like Lloyd's of London was the only one.
London, yeah.
Some providers refuse entirely, calling it a high risk, even though piercers, spas, estheticians perform procedures with similar or higher risk. So it makes no sense. Requirements that don't match the industry, impossible sterilization standards, special equipment not actually used, unrelated liability requirements. That's kind of why I was asking you what the intent was of the insurance that New Jersey made you get. Now, I understand the slip and fall factor because that's every business, right? Like every business has to have some type of liability insurance, whether you're a painter or you own a bodega, because you're a painter and you drop a 5-gallon bucket of somebody's, $50,000 parquet floor, somebody's going to have to pay for it. You got a bodega and you got a little pipe that leaked out in front of your spot and you fall, slip and fall. My back and my neck.
So it sort of is like a side story. One winter,
Johnny.
There was ice. There was ice in front of my shop, right? And this customer was so good-natured about it. I'm usually really, really on top of it, but they hit a patch of ice, and I watched them from the inside of the shop through the windows. They went ass over tea kettle, like feet up in the air, and they got up and dusted themselves off. But I mean, for a minute there, I was like, I'm about to lose my place of business.
Dude, I did that my old house. So the way that the storm drain pipe would come right down the middle of my driveway, the way the water would roll.
Yeah.
And it snowed on top of it after we had like a warm day, cold day, warm day, cold day. And I was out there cleaning up my truck, man, and my feet went up in the air. And when I came down, I landed right on my tailbone.
Bad.
And they thought that I broke my coccyx. That little, yeah, dude. I thought I was going to pee my pants. He had a nerve. I farted, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to pee.
What happened? I slipped on the ice and shit myself.
Yeah, slip out.
Keeping it classy here.
Extra legal liability riders. Tattoo shops often pay for special endorsements other than small business, other than what a small business would need. Now, like why it happens, it mostly comes down to outdated stigma, not actual risk. Modern professional tattoo shops follow strict sanitation standards, have lower incident rates than many personal service businesses, and are regulated like medical facilities in many states. Yet zoning and insurance haven't caught up. Um, you know, it's so it's not discrimination. It's they use the other term. What would you call it? Where they're worried about the people.
Oh, dispersion.
Dispersion.
It's the dispersion factor.
Right.
See,
Now,
and the funny thing about that book is like, is it possible to transfer disease tattooing? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you have to be so not and knock wood. Like I'm not trying to call bad luck to myself, but like even the most basic common sense precautions will stop that from happening. I mean, you have to be pretty negligent, you know.
right. Yeah. I mean,
between the chemical cleaners we have and all the medical supplies that we have that are available to us. But I mean, I've gone into shops where they didn't even seem like they were using the most basic common sense.
yeah. I walked into a
precautions.
shop like that down in Maryland, and I walked right out. And I was like, nope.
I walked into a shop in Atlantic City one time. It was either Atlantic City or Wildwood or something like that, and it was just they had tattoo magazine pages like
Stuck to the wall.
stuck to the wall with push pins, but not even like in a nice row, just like sort of randomly. And I was like, this doesn't look like a place for me to get tattooed.
So we were down in Ocean City, Maryland,
Mhm.
and there was a guy that was like 3 blocks away from us, and there was like 4 of us that were like, all right, man. I wasn't getting a tattooed because I'm very picky.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, man, I'll go with you guys. Let's go. They were closed, and then the dude was like, he was so hard up. He was like, I gotta get a tattoo, and I'm like, okay. So we drove like 20 minutes further, and we go into this guy's shop. The dude looked like the bus driver from The Simpsons. He looked like he possibly didn't bathe for quite a while. The shop was like really dark, and all his portfolio stuff was like Polaroids. So
Nice.
it was definitely,
Nice.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. We were like, yeah, go ahead, dude, go. And we sat in the lobby, and we were like, man, it's taking a while. The dude comes out, and he's like, yeah, dude, look at this. Does this look good? And I was like, yeah, it looks great. And then the guy's like, all right, who's next? And we were like, nah, we're good. And we all walked out, and the dude was like, I think it looks pretty good. And we were like, yeah, dude, that's going to be infected within a couple days. It looked pretty rough. No, thank you. I'm not trying to get anything.
So I was talking to a guy this weekend, and he went to get a cover up, and what he wanted to do was like the kind of Philadelphia skyline, but as a black relief, and then bring it down a little further over the name. But the artist, like, so if this were the buildings, right? If this was the building, what do they call that? Profiles.
Right.
The black underneath it was like that, and not like nice blackout smooth. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what was wrong with him. He kind of fell asleep halfway through the tattoo and just kept making circles with his machine. And I was like, dude, I think you're supposed to stop him. I think you're supposed to stop your tattooer when he just kind of falls asleep.
You're drifting out of this.
Drifting out of the. Yep.
So RC's hanging out with us tonight. Good to
Nice.
see RC. He said you can transmit a disease eating Mexican food, salmonella.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's there's plenty of ways to get different things, but so I decided to look into states like where some of the states are a little bit more strict, maybe. So California, licensing and health. California enforces the Safe Body Art Act, and many counties require permits, bloodborne pathogen training, plan checks and inspections. Local health departments, county level, often run permitting. Zoning municipalities vary. Some cities restrict tattoo parlors by district or apply minimum distance rules to avoid over-concentration. Cities also sometimes treat tattooing like a regulated commercial use, requiring special development standards. Specialized policies are available for insurance, but mainstream carriers can be picky. Many California shop owners use specialty brokers or niche policies for professional liability and general liability. So there you go. They're same thing where they're doing the specialized insurance. It almost reminds me, I have no, I've never owned a business, so I don't know anything about that, but it kind of reminded me when you said that. So back in the day, like riders insurance was like the insurance for if you had a Harley, had a bike, because it was like made for motorcycle riders. I think there's also a couple different companies that do classic cars. That's all they do. You know what I mean? So it's like a niche.
Yes.
But Jesus Christ, dude, Lloyd's of London. That's like you ain't getting any bougier than that, man.
That was it.
That's as high end as you're gonna get, dude. New York City, New York State, and New York City require permits, licensing. New York City specifically mandates infection control courses and DOHMH registration. I don't know what that is. Department of Health, Medical Health, maybe. Inspections are commonplace. Zoning rules vary by city or county. New York City mostly relegates through health and licensing rather than exclusionary zoning, but some suburbs or upstate towns can restrict locations. Because New York City has higher litigation exposure, premiums can be higher for insurance. Specialized tattoo insurance brokers serve the market and often provide the only workable policies for pro shops. So
when I first was working in Jersey, I went to see the health department, me and the people that were working for me, and because when they came in to inspect, it was a restaurant inspector who was pretty open about the fact that they had never, they didn't really know what they were looking for. They were just doing a bullet list.
Right.
And so when we went in there and talked to them, because I was trying to I don't know, they invited us in to I don't want to say educate them, but so I brought in Maticide, right, which is a really heavy duty antimicrobial, antibacterial cleaner. And even though they knew, they were so educated, they knew exactly what the chemical did, the chemistry behind it. And the guy was like, "How often do you clean with this? Once a day? Once every other day?" I'm like, "No, we clean with this after every tattoo,
right.
After every," and it just they just didn't know. I mean, intellectually, they were really way more savvy than we were about medical and
right.
chemistry and stuff, but they had no practical. It blew me away to be asked, "Do you clean your stuff once a day?"
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I do have New Jersey on here. So licensing and health, body art permitting and health inspections are common at county municipal level. New Jersey has explicit public health guidance for body art in many counties. Zoning, suburban municipalities may impose proximity limits to schools, churches, or require conditional use for permits. And as far as for insurance, it says New Jersey shops typically use standard small business liability policies supplemented by professional liability and specialty providers. Now, we're obviously not going to go through every state, but I think one of the states that I wanted to talk about was Oregon, because not only do they have all the municipality rules, public health, inspections, all that stuff, but they also they force you to go to tattoo school before you're even allowed to get a license/permit. in Oregon. So you can't even tattoo unless you go through one of their state-sponsored schools, have that signed off. It's almost kind of like, like when you go to the Harley rider course and the dude signs off for you, and then you can take your permit and basically just get the license without taking the test.
All right, so out of curiosity, were the pre-existing shops grandfathered in?
That I don't know.
Because that sounds like a thing.
It's been for a long time, though.
Right.
So I don't know. We'd have to dig into that to see if it was, were shops grandfathered in or not. But I also know that, so Jason Sweet talked about it. And then also, I can't remember the dude's name that worked down at Convent. He was originally from Oregon. And he said the same thing, that you had to go through their state-sponsored school in order to tattoo. I think even if you moved in from the area, so Jason Sweet came from California because he tattooed in California for a while, moved to Oregon, had to go through that in order to get his paperwork. The other thing that I don't have it listed on here, but when we were talking about you possibly going out to the Reno show,
yeah, that
Nevada,
was a nightmare.
Like, dude, they're
that was a nightmare.
They required all kinds of crazy stuff.
They would require me to get licensed in Nevada to tattoo for 3 days there.
That's nuts, dude. So,
I mean, there's like there should be common sense oversight.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But
so let me ask you a question. From a shop owner perspective, I know that there's other reasons why it pisses you off, but is this just an extra layer of, people working out of their house piss you off because they're obviously not following any of this stuff?
So between the time I took my apprenticeship and the time that I opened my first studio, the guy that I learned from said, until you take care of A, B, and C, you can't work in another shop. So I set up a space within my house and tattooed for a little while out of my house. I had like a whole separate room.
Right.
Here I am trying to justify it. I did it, right? So I got a call from the health department, and they were like, "We hear you're running a tattoo shop out." And I'm like, "Absolutely not." And I just shut it all down immediately. Now, when I owned my shop and I talked to the health inspector about it, she goes, "Do you realize that to enter a house on a narcotics bust, you need to see, as a law enforcement officer, 2 confirmed buys to legally enter a house?" She was like, "We could never, as the health department, we could never enter somebody's home to break up a tattoo business.
Right.
It would be ridiculous." And I was like, "Well, thanks for telling me that now."
Right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, all these people that have to jump through hoops to get their shops up in order, paying an exorbitant amount of money for insurances, all this other shit. And then there's some guy, running a secret shop, not necessarily even out of his house. There's people that run little
private studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's two people locally that I think about 2 or 3 years ago. They're a couple. The one is really respected tattoo artist in this area, and her husband is more nationally known. Used to work out in California.
Okay.
And they sold her shop. He came back from California. They sold her shop, and they work privately now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know the specifics of it, but they were kind of smart. I mean, they sold the shop for a boatload of cash because they sold it during COVID.
Right.
And they have avoided all the saturation issues because they're well enough established.
Yeah. So, Bone Chill said, what does grandfathered in mean? So, meaning that you had your business was already established before the law was made. Therefore, you are grandfathered in and don't have to partake in that stuff. You're getting a pass, basically.
So let's say I owned a tattoo shop, and I didn't want anybody to open a tattoo shop after me. and I made it more. We set up laws and guidelines that required additional investment, additional factors. Because I had a pre-existing business to that law, it doesn't apply to me.
Shout out to our viewers on Kick. I just noticed we got some Kick people watching, which is awesome. Trying to build our Kick crowd up.
So when the drinking age was 18 and they changed it to 21, did you get grandfathered in?
No, at all. No. I mean, I that was well before my time, but I know people that were that age where they said that they would. Did they go that like a state by state thing happened? It wasn't like national.
It's not a federal law, no.
Right. So I remember people saying like, well, we had to go to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the blood borders.
Right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We lived in Jersey, so we had to go to PA to drink or Philly to drink, and then try to make it across the bridge, I guess.
So
without-
basically, if you were a 20-year-old kid who'd been out drinking in bars for 2 years,
you were shit out of luck, unless you had a car and could get across the state line somewhere.
you know what a blood border is?
No.
So a blood border is when some states had the 21 and some states had the 18. They would call them blood borders because there would be accident fatalities. People going to one state over to drink and then driving back and causing car accidents. And that was part of the reason for how it became, nationally 21.
Gotcha. Hey, why you got a second? Smash that like button for us, man. Let's push this out to some other people.
Useless Knowledge with Justin and Buck.
We got a bunch of people watching. We got only a couple likes on the stream. Help me out. Much appreciated. Let's get into the chat, man, because we got a bunch of people hanging out tonight, and the chat is actually rolling pretty nice. So I probably missed a bunch of stuff, but looks like we got Justin Smet hanging out. We got Chris Hawkins hanging out with us. I know we got Fat Cracker in here. We got OG Sarah hanging. We got moderator Nikki, Stephen Street, Bill O'Connell hanging out. Who else? Fudu's hanging. Drag's in here. What's going on, Drag? Missing Irish is hanging. What's up, Irish? I saw your last video today. I liked it. Pretty good. Justin, I also watched some of your stuff. We got RC hanging out with us. We got Bone Chill coming back. This is the second or third time we've seen Bone Chill hanging. So, and then we got a bunch of people watching that are just not in chat, which is fine. We're okay with that.
So I speaking of people watching, I had some big news.
Go ahead.
I made a TikTok.
Yeah.
And 48,000 people watched it.
That thing blew up, dude.
And I have no idea of how to survive TikTok.
And now Justin actually has people calling in to get tattooed from that, which is awesome.
So it's a good thing I have Buck, because Buck's a social media guru.
I am not a guru.
He's a guru.
I'm still fumbling myself, dude. I still struggle with all the social media stuff. YouTube, I'm doing okay, but all the other stuff, I'm like,
See, this is how he's a guru. I said, "What do you think I should do now?" He goes, "Don't post any tattoos that suck." I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Bill O'Connell with the $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. No, what I said to you was,
Don't post any tattoos that suck.
well, yeah, I did say that. But I said to you, people are eating that video up that you made because you are not buying into the he said, she said, tiff that's going on with social media right now. You are basically saying, hey, man, I'm here to work. I'm not trying to gouge you on prices. I'm willing to work with you on prices. Stop in and see me. So keep rolling with that, dude. Don't turn into the angry old school tattooer that's like, screw these young kids, blah, blah, blah. Keep going with, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to work with you. I know times are tough right now. Money's tight. Stop in and see me. And it's working.
Yeah.
Because you already had people calling and saying, hey, man, I want to get tattooed. So that's the power of social media, man.
Sort of what inspired the video was that 2 women came in. They said that they wanted to get 3 angel numbers beneath their ears, not behind their ears, but beneath their ears, about this big, if you can see it. And they were quoted, I think, $150 or $180 a piece.
Yeah.
Because, and I just thought, I mean, it's going to take me longer to print the numbers out than to actually do the tattoo.
Right.
And
well, the thing is, you know, some of that conversation that's going around, and I don't want to get into that, man, but people need to understand that it also is very dependent on where you live. Like, I guarantee you, Fat Cracker out there in California is paying more for tattoos. Probably not a lot more, but more than what people around here are paying. I wouldn't expect somebody from the middle of Mississippi to be paying New York City prices.
I mean,
it's just basic economics.
I love the guys at Daredevil. I mean, Brad and Michelle.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think their minimum is like $175.
But that's New York City.
That's New York City.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same everywhere. There was some tattoo artist that posted, I guess they did a survey 5-6 years ago where they did an average of, you know, what the state average is. And obviously California and New York were higher. But southern states and you know what I mean? They're much lower. They're much lower than here because, you know, pay scales are different. That's depending on where you live, you know. I think that some of these people that are charging and when I'm not talking like $200 an hour at all. I'm talking about the dudes that are charging 10 grand and shit like that, crazy numbers. I think they forget that, you know, people save up 6 months a year to get some tattoo work done. The average person's not busting out 10 grand to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to kind of work with what you got, you know, and if you got a lower income area, you got to work with what you got. So I think you did a good job, man. I mean, that was a solid video, and it obviously has touched a nerve on a lot of people in a good way because they're sharing it, they're passing it around you, and you got people calling saying, I mean, I literally heard the guy say tonight, hey, man, I saw your TikTok. I want to work with you.
I have no idea how to survive that.
You're going to be fine, dude.
But
keep moving towards me, though, because you're drifting out. Keep drifting out of the picture, dude.
So I figure if you're obviously not if you're a professional, obviously not if you have a good union job, but if you're just Joe, you know, with a decent warehouse job or working on a construction site, you're probably bringing home $200 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? $200 a day.
Right.
And it just feels odd to me to charge somebody a day's pay for something that I can do in an hour or a half hour. Yeah,
but you know, it also comes down to the size, what they're getting. I mean, obviously prices go up, and you know, there's a point where you got to be like, look, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I got those comments too. What are you going to do, a sleeve for $25? I'm like, no, I'm talking about
bullshit little tiny tattoos that shouldn't really be getting $200 for. I mean, it is what it is, dude. I think it just, like I said, I don't want to get into the conversation because it can go both ways real quick. I think that people need to take into consideration where they're at, what their clientele is, what the income levels are at, and then, you know, that's what you need to talk about.
And, you know, a big part of it too is I wonder how many tattooers, I've talked about this before, I wonder how many tattooers out there still enjoy the act of tattooing.
Right.
Like, I worked with a guy who was an excellent tattooer.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. He liked producing music and doing computer work. He tattooed because he was good at it and he made a good living at it, but it wasn't like his joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, like, at this time in tattooing, we're going to see who really likes tattooing.
Yeah, I think it's also, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about the topic because, I don't want to keep going, dipping down this road. But I think it's
No,
real
let's
easy.
go down this road.
I think it's real easy for somebody to say, there's no way you should be charging less than $250 an hour if you got 200, 300,000 followers on your Instagram.
Yeah.
You're obviously not hurting for work because you have a huge following. People are probably traveling to get work from you, which, dude, I mean, that means that you're
Good for
putting
you,
out
man.
quality work, but not everybody has that luxury. And that's all we're going to say about that. Now, I did look up, zoning, insurance, whatever for Australia, trying to dig deeper into this
To
video,
understand, yeah.
thinking that, was this a discrimination thing? Was this, we're trying to muscle them out of our neighborhood? And I really couldn't get a definitive level of information. It really came down to where they said each state/territory sets health licensing and permission rules, often with health departments or specific acts. So I guess they have different laws for different zones and territories. But everything is framed around a infectious control, public health laws. But there was really no like definitive answer on, hey, this is what it is in Australia. This is the end all to be all answers. So I don't know really if those people are just being muscled out because of the area they're in, or if it really is legitimately a law.
Speaking of Australia, has there been any news about door lock gate down there? The dude that put the glue in the door locks?
No, I haven't seen anything about that. It's weird that I'm going down this Australian rabbit hole because, on one of my Wednesday nights, I dipped into one of the first recognized or whatever tattoo artists of Australia. And, I really went down that road because I was trying to figure out the whole, like, who did Bon Scott's parrot on his arm. But then I really started to see how much talent and, there are some big name people from Australia. So I think that's definitely a country that I'm going to try to do some more episodes on because of the amount of people and the quality that came out of Australia. It's just such a weird thing, I guess, from us, from, the U.S. It's like on the other side of the world. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they're one of the few countries that still likes Americans, right?
as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, like I knew guys in the military that said they were really welcomed in Australia.
Yeah, when I was over in the UK, man, we ran into some Australian people, and they were super nice. We're not assholes, though, so, I mean, that doesn't really... But it's a place I always wanted to go, man. I just can't afford it, and I don't really think I could handle the goddamn plane ride. Like, that's a whole... probably 2-day plane ride.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the world.
Yeah, like,
Plus, isn't like 60% of all poisonous species on Earth in Australia?
I don't know about that, but they definitely have a lot of shit that can kill you.
Yeah. I think it's something, maybe not 60%, but I think it's some ridiculous percentage of things that kill human beings.
So, Sam Hain Pipes and Backy is joining us again tonight. Good to see you. Said local shops in small town southern Indiana usually runs $150 to $200 an hour. It's mainly blue collar folks around here, so I assume that plays into the price ranges. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that 100 to 150 range is the sweet spot. I think that's pretty much where I've always paid for my work. I started to get discounts or whatever as a repeat customer and stuff like that from certain people, but Bone Chill said, do you guys know who did Stevie Ray Vaughan's peacock on his chest?
No.
No, man, but I would love to find out. And I tell you what, I will do some digging to see if I can get that information because I'd like to know that myself, actually. I'm a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan.
So that always fascinated me, like Stevie's tattoo, Johnny Winter's tattoo, Aaron Neville was tattooed, Bon Scott was tattooed. but they were all tattooed before it was any kind of thing. I think Greg Allman was tattooed.
Oh yeah.
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 But I mean, back when it was still, it wasn't part of the, like now it's part of the heavy metal uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just dudes that were getting tattooed, man. I love that.
Right. Like Guns N' Roses, right?
Yeah.
With Axl Rose with his one little,
With the same 6 tattoos he's had
with
his
his
whole career.
little tiny pencil arms.
Yeah.
Dude, he got a palm-sized tattoo. It looked like a quarter sleeve. His little tiny arms. They're not like that no more.
No, they're not like that.
He looks like us now.
Actually, Axl looks like somebody's grandmother.
Yeah, dude, yes.
He looks like a grandmother now.
And he cannot. That whole incident of him at the Ozzy Osbourne final farewell, that man should be ashamed of himself, dude.
What?
The way he sang?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was bad. Stephen Street said Australia is a great country to be in. Great waves, everything. That's what I've always heard, man.
Steven, what about, it's got the biggest concentration of great white sharks in the world.
Yeah, but dude, like you're on Bondi Beach and all that, like world famous Bondi Beach. Dude, them sharks are nowhere near that. Yeah, well, dude, you can go here in Seaside and get bit by a shark.
Yeah, but not.
Dude, LBI is where LBI in New Jersey is where they came up with the idea for Jaws.
That was Montauk.
No, the movie was supposed to be Montauk, but the actual event that happened was on LBI, dude.
Right, in the 30s.
Yeah.
But the Quint was based on a shark fisherman from Montauk.
Yeah, I'm just saying the event was LBI.
Yeah.
Which I swam in that water thousands of times.
And it was bull sharks.
Dude, I can't even believe that I have never gotten an infection from swimming in that water. Dude, that is some Jersey Shore. I love it, but water is not clean.
So just out of curiosity, did you not, I didn't realize how filthy the Jersey Shore water was until I went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And was in 8 feet of water and could see my feet and stuff.
Yeah. That's how I was in Hawaii.
Yeah, right?
I was like, wow. It's like a big bathtub.
Yeah.
Salty one. Like somebody pissed in it.
You floated really well, right?
I was super buoyant, dude. I would have never drowned. Not only was I, because of my fat levels.
Did seagulls land on you while you were laying out?
Dude, I had otters trying to crack clams on my chest. Dude, I'm telling you, it was super buoyant, dude. I couldn't believe it. I thought, when you're fat, air catches in your shorts and shit, and it turns in that, air pouch.
Yeah.
I thought that's what was keeping me up, dude. And then I realized, I was like, man, I know I got fat, but... And then everybody else around me was, floating. And I'm like, dude, so it would be really hard. I guess the only way you're going to drown is a rip current or whacking your head on the coral from the giant waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we went to the North Shore, that's, where all the big waves are. They were saying, you shouldn't even, walk in the water because it'll suck you out, because of rip current.
Yeah, my buddy Kyle was a surfer, and he got damage to his ear.
I don't swim that good, dude, but I can float like a motherfucker.
He got damage to his ear because he got hit by a wave, and it, brought him right to the bottom.
So Steven said, it's not too dangerous. I stopped checking for spiders in the bathroom after a day. That's
Dude, in Australia, what do you mean checking for spiders? They're
carrying your freaking apples off your table. Dude, when I lived in Arizona, dude, you had to always shake your shoes out before you put your shoes on because of these scorpions, dude. The scorpions climb in your shoe. You put your fucking foot in your shoe, dude. You're like, ow. Yeah, dude, you can run to the hospital. Bone Chill said, I swam in Coney Island most of my youth, and that was some bad water. Amen, dude. I mean, it's not like India water, but it's pretty dirty. Yeah. So Drag said we have catfish here in the lake. Yeah, we got catfish here too. I mean, I've caught catfish on the Delaware River that were bigger than small children.
I mean, there's sturgeon in the Delaware.
Yeah. Dude, there's some prehistoric looking fish in there. Anyway, man, I know we got way off topic, but I thought it was a cool subject to bring up tonight because, you know, these are things that impact tattoo shops, the availability of tattoo shops. Also, let's face it, impact the prices of tattoos as well. We got on a little rant there about tattoo prices, but that's another factor, right?
So it's, you know, my buddy Kevin was a roofer, and he was a roofer in Philly, which means it was, you know, pretty rough and tumble. So the guy that he worked for basically sat in a bar all day, made phone calls, and got he got money in envelopes from his workers. Right? So Kevin, you know, eventually opens up his own roofing company, and he because of what we're talking about now, like when you're an employee, you only see yourself going to the bar, handing the boss the envelopes.
You don't see the whole back end.
But when you're the owner, you see the electric bill, the disposal bill,
well, when you're a roofer, dude, their insurance for trucks.
Right. I mean, Kevin was like amazed when he bought his own company how much easier it was to just be a roofer versus the guy owning the roofing company.
Yeah.
And I was the same way as a tattooer. All I saw was me delivering the night's receipts to the guy that I was working for. I didn't see the other side of the work he did.
Yeah, well, you know, you got insurance, you got building, you got electric bills, all the other stuff, shop supplies, whatever. And then, you know, depending on, I guess, what you're buying or where you're buying it from, tariffs got involved and, you know, jacked prices up and stuff. But I don't know, man. I hope you all that are in the States and celebrate it, I hope you have a safe, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family if you do that. If not, enjoy your friendversary, whatever the Friendsgiving thing. You know, I hope you got to get a little feast on, man, and enjoy it.
And I would really like to thank you personally for the whole image of the sea otters.
Cracking clams.
Cracking clams.
Anyway, man,
Have
don't
a good
forget,
Thanksgiving.
no Wednesday night this week or next week, but we will be back on Sunday. Have a good night. See ya.